Talk to Fluency from beginner to fluent.
Take your English skills to the next level.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to pull out the most important bits of knowledge, the key insights from, well, loads of different places, all to bring you up to speed. Today, we're doing a fascinating deep dive into something quite fundamental, how our individual lives, our personal stories are just incredibly tangled up with the bigger world around us, from the quiet corners of our homes, all the way to these huge technological shifts, changing how we do things every day.
That's right. We've looked at a whole collection of observations and personal stories, and our goal today really is to find those surprising connections, those moments that make you go, ha-ha, things that help you feel genuinely clued in about all the shifts, big and small, happening around us. We'll be looking at how our choices, where we live, even our past experiences, how they all kind of shape our present moment, and hopefully offer a glimpse into what's driving some major societal changes.
Okay, let's unpack this then. How our personal experiences, the places we actually live, how they really shape our views and, well, our lives. And maybe a good place to start is something really close to home for many people, the bond we have with our pets, and how that often says something about our living situation.
Oh, absolutely. Pets really do become part of the family, don't they? I felt that really strongly when I lived in Korea about 5 years back. My house there, it was pretty small. And I really wanted a companion, but I knew a dog or cat just wouldn't have the room they needed. That just wouldn't have felt fair, So I looked around for something a bit more low maintenance, something that fit the space.
Yeah.
And that's how I found Sunny. She was my parakeet.
A parakeet.
Yeah, this tiny, really vibrant yellow bird, bright orange cheeks. And honestly, she was just an absolute joy. Sunny was incredibly loud, full of energy. She loved flying around the house, just zipping about, which was actually really endearing. And she even picked up a few words. She just brought so much warmth, so much life for 5 really great years. Sadly, she passed away a few years ago now. But that connection, even with a little bird like that, it was a huge part of my daily life then. A real comfort, especially being in a new place.
What a lovely story. And such a thoughtful choice, considering the space. It really shows how our environment kind of dictates even these really personal decisions. It's interesting comparing that to, say, England. You see dogs everywhere there. They're incredibly popular. And I often think that's so connected to the landscape itself, all the parks, the green spaces, the footpaths. It just gives people endless places to walk their dogs. It almost feels like the country's designed for dog owners,
Yeah.
The lifestyle just fits.
Absolutely it does. And thinking beyond just pets and parks, there's often this deeper human pull towards a certain kind of environment, isn't there? It goes beyond just what's practical. For me, my sort of dream home isn't just about comfort. It's picturing a large country house, maybe somewhere like the Lake District in Northwest England.
Our beautiful area.
Just stunning, isn't it? A real natural masterpiece. You've got the mountains, the rivers, the waterfalls. Just incredible beauty. And the peace, the tranquility you get there. It's such a massive contrast to the constant sort of hustle and bustle of city life, where everything feels loud and rushed.
Yeah.
And I also dream of having a really big garden there, not just to look nice, but, to actually grow my own vegetables. That satisfaction.
That self-sufficiency thing again.
Exactly. Connecting with the land kind of thing.
That really does paint a picture escaping the urban grind. And this is where it gets really interesting for me. That deep link between the environment and how we build things. Architecture. It's not just about looking good or fitting in, is it? It's often about survival, about culture, history.
No, not at all. It goes way deeper than aesthetics. The environment massively shapes architectural styles, often for really practical reasons. Think about traditional buildings in the Alps. You see those really tall, steep roofs. Well, that's not just for show. It's specifically designed because they get so much snow. The steep angle means the snow just slides off easily, stops it piling up and potentially damaging the house.
Right. Makes sense.
And those lovely balconies you often see, covered in flowers. Sure, they look nice, but certain flowers can actually help keep mosquitoes away in the summer. So practical, too.
Huh. Didn't know that.
Or think about something really iconic, like the Sydney Opera House. That unique shape, like sails.
Instantly recognizable.
Exactly. It's not just art. It reflects the harbor setting, draws inspiration from the boats, the water. It makes it completely part of its environment.
It's fascinating how design responds like that, both to need and to inspiration. And thinking about those older buildings, like in the Alps, it brings up the whole idea of preservation, doesn't it? Why is keeping old buildings around so important?
Oh, preserving old buildings is absolutely vital. They're like living history books for an area. They show us how people lived before, the techniques they use, their values. They give a place character, a sense of depth that you just don't get from brand new developments. Think about walking down a cobblestone street versus a modern pavement. It tells a different story.
Yeah, completely.
But it's a balance, of course. You need to keep them functional, safe, sometimes adapt them for new uses. But the goal should always be to keep that historical integrity, that unique feel. If we just knock everything down, we lose a huge chunk of our collective memory, you know?
That's a really powerful way to put it. Preserving memory while still moving forward. Which, speaking moving forward, it feels like we're always navigating this world that's constantly changing, especially with technology advancing so fast and our cities just continuing to grow. So how is technology specifically really shaking up our daily habits, even our personal preferences?
Well, personally, I've definitely noticed a big shift in how I consume media. And I know I'm not alone in this. I used to watch a fair bit of TV, traditional channels, and definitely got sucked into streaming platforms like Netflix. A lot.
Like most of us?
Exactly. But more recently, I found myself reading much more, actually reading books. And for me, the big driver has been e-reader devices. They're just so portable. I can carry hundreds of books in my bag. But more than that, they let me read in places where it was awkward before, like reading in bed in the dark without bothering anyone, or on a packed train.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
It really does.
Yeah.
That accessibility has subtly shifted how I spend my free time. Less passive watching, more active reading, engaging with stories and ideas.
That's a great example, the shift from passive to active. And it's not just how we consume things individually, is it? Technology is also really changing creative fields and how the public engages with art. What have you seen there?
Oh, it's changed massively in the last couple of decades. It's sort of democratized art in many ways. Social media especially has been huge. It doesn't just show you the final artwork. It often shows the process.
Right, the making of it.
Exactly. You can watch a painter layering colors or see how a street artist creates a huge mural from scratch, maybe through time-lapse videos or photos. Seeing that behind-the-scenes effort, the skill involved, it really helps people connect with the work and the artist. It makes art seem less distant, maybe?
Less intimidating.
Yeah, less intimidating, more accessible. It's definitely boosted art's popularity, I think, by showing the craft behind it.
And that creative boom, powered by tech, links right into the world of work too, doesn't it? The skills that are valued now, it feels like the job market is always playing catch up.
It really is. Technology has created whole new job categories that just didn't exist 10, 15 years ago. I mean,
Right.
Think about a social media manager. That wasn't a job title then. Now it's pretty essential for loads of businesses. Needs a mix of marketing, writing, tech skills.
Yeah, a whole new skill set.
Absolutely. And if you look at what skills are really valuable now, well, practical digital skills like video editing are huge. It's a deep skill. You can get really good at it. And it's vital for anyone creating content for platforms like YouTube.
Definitely.
And then there are the technical skills, like software development. Still a massive demand for developers, loads of jobs available. But interestingly, while the digital side booms, I actually wonder if we might see a resurgence in the value of traditional, hands-on, practical skills too.
Oh, like what?
Like woodworking, maybe even plumbing, electrical work. As our lives get more digital, maybe there's a growing appreciation for tangible skills, for making physical things, and realizing that, you can't fix a leaky pipe with an app. We might start valuing those trades more again.
That's a really interesting thought, kind of a counter trend. Now, beyond jobs and habits, technology and population shifts are also physically changing our cities, aren't they? What transformations have you noticed? Maybe somewhere like Seoul.
Oh, definitely. I've seen huge changes in Korean cities, especially Seoul, which is just such a bustling, massive place. There's been a real shift over the last decade or so. You used to see a lot of older apartment blocks, often quite uniform. People sometimes call them horrible white monstrosities or matchbox apartments.
Right, functional, but maybe not beautiful.
Exactly. Built quickly to house lots of people, but not much thought to aesthetics or fitting in. Now, though, you're seeing much more variety. More eco-friendly designs, buildings that try to integrate better with their surroundings, maybe incorporating green spaces, unique shapes, things like biophilic design, trying to connect people with nature, even in the city.
So it sounds like they're trying to balance that rapid growth with making cities more livable. But is it working? Especially in a city as packed as Seoul.
Well, it's a constant struggle, honestly. There's this inherent tension between developing quickly and preserving or creating natural spaces. Seoul still finds it really hard to provide enough parks, enough green areas, just because it's so incredibly dense. They try clever things, like turning old highways into parks, but it's an ongoing battle.
I can imagine.
And you can't ignore the bigger issue, just too many people crammed into the capital city. This leads to awful traffic jams, making commuting a nightmare. Some areas feel almost, well, uninhabitable just because of the sheer congestion. It affects everything: air quality, stress levels, quality of life.
And what's the flip side of that in the rural areas?
The flip side is you start seeing ghost towns appear in the countryside. People leave seeking better jobs, better opportunities in the big cities like Seoul. So you end up with this really stark contrast. Cities bursting at the seams and rural areas slowly emptying out, which creates its own problems for those communities left behind.
It's a complex picture. And all these shifts, personal habits, technology, city growth, they don't happen in isolation, do they? They create these ripple effects through society, the environment, and ultimately our own well-being. Let's dig into that a bit. What about health and lifestyle changes in today's world?
Well, the recent pandemic certainly threw health issues into sharp focus, didn't it? Both physical and mental health. We saw so much mental stress, people worrying about money, about their businesses staying afloat, about their family's health.
Yeah, huge anxiety.
And that stress, unfortunately, often impacted other healthy habits. People maybe ate more comfort food, less nutritious stuff. Exercise routines often went out the window during lockdowns or just through lack of motivation. But even beyond the pandemic, there's a broader trend, I think, towards eating more instant processed food. You see it a lot in places like England. It's a big contrast to, say, a generation ago when maybe there was more cooking from scratch with fresh ingredients.
We're all so busy.
Partly, yeah. Convenience is king. But the downside is these diets often lack essential vitamins, minerals. It definitely contributes to health problems, concerns about obesity, nutrient deficiencies, that kind of thing.
So what's the antidote? How do we build resilience, look after ourselves in this fast-paced, often stressful environment?
Well, making time for leisure activities is just crucial. For me, personally, jogging has become really important. It does a few things at once. It's great stress relief, helps clear my head. Obviously, it's a good physical exercise, which is fundamental.
Sure.
But also, I find I can listen to things while I run, like educational content, maybe a deep dive like this one.
Multitasking.
Exactly. It makes it feel really efficient and rewarding. But it just highlights how important physical activity is, not just for fitness, but for mental well-being, stress management. Finding something you actually enjoy doing is key.
Finding those activities that tick multiple boxes seems essential now. And thinking about health on a bigger scale. Let's talk about the environment. That obviously impacts our well-being massively. What about air pollution, say, in Korea?
Air pollution is a huge problem in Korea. It's something people deal with constantly. We talk about fine dust, these tiny PM 2.5 and PM 10 particles. They're microscopic, get deep into your lungs, even your bloodstream. Really bad for breathing, causes respiratory problems, and it harms wildlife too.
And what causes it mainly?
It's a mix, really. Emissions from factories, lots of traffic in the dense cities, and also deforestation plays a role, reducing the planet's natural air filters. And it's not just air quality. We're seeing more frequent, really severe flooding in places like England, too, which is a very clear, direct result of climate change, of global warming. It causes chaos.
So if we boil it down, what are the absolute main drivers behind climate change and these extreme weather events?
Well, at the root of it, it's primarily greenhouse gases, especially carbon dioxide, CO2. We release massive amounts, mainly from burning fossil fuels like coal in factories and power plants, driving cars. It acts like a blanket, trapping heat around the earth. And then, as I mentioned, deforestation is the other big piece. Trees are amazing carbon sinks. They absorb CO2. When we cut them down on a massive scale, we release stored carbon, and we destroy that natural absorption capacity. It's a real double whammy.
Wow, what an incredible deep dive we've had. It's so clear how interconnected everything is. Our personal choices, technology, where we live, the environment, our relationships, it's all woven together.
Absolutely. From the simple comfort of a pet in a small apartment right up to the huge global challenge of climate change. These connections really highlight how important it is to understand the world around us. And maybe, hopefully, it inspires us all to move through it with a bit more awareness, more intention in the choices we make.
So, here's something to think about. As we get more and more plugged into this fast-changing modern world, How can each of us make a conscious effort to hold on to and actively cultivate the things in life that genuinely nourish us? Our connections, our well-being, our link to the world. How do we avoid just getting swept along? Definitely something to ponder. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive. See you next episode and Talk to Fluency YouTube channel.
Talk to Fluency from beginner to fluent.
Take your English skills to the next level.